Every year in Alaska, thousands of people go missing, and in some of these cases it appears that something unknown, something paranormal could be happening. I have covered in my Missing in Alaska series sightings of cryptids that some believe could be kidnapping humans, like the little people of Alaska or the mysterious mermaids that the natives call the Qualupalik. But today, we're going to go over something a little bit different than cryptids. For as long as people have been flying over Alaska, pilots have told strange stories of what look like wormholes or spinning clouds that seem to just appear out of nowhere and disappear just as fast. And some suspect that these wormholes, or vortexes, could be responsible for some of these vanishings. One famous case happened in 1950 on a cold January night when a military transport plane was flying over Alaska. This was a pretty big plane. There were 48 people on board, and about 2 hours into their flight, they just vanished. Now, since this was an army plane and 48 people were on board, there was a massive search party, but they never found no trace of this plane. And what makes this case so bizarre is there was no distress signal. And here we are 70 years later, and no one has ever stumbled upon the wreckage. Now, of course, it's possible for a plane of this size to crash in Alaska and just vanish, but it is odd that there was no distress signal, and nothing has ever been found. So it makes some wonder, what if something paranormal could have happened to them? Is it possible that they flew into a portal or a rip into another dimension? And the reason some wonder this is we do have some very unusual reports of strange phenomena from pilots. One interesting case happened when a man and his son were flying over Alaska. And while they were flying during a beautiful day, they saw in the distance something very unusual. They saw clouds start to come together and spin in a circle. And the father, who had been flying for years, had never seen anything like this before. And as he and his son were wondering what was causing all these clouds to spin, they felt a massive burst of wind shoot up underneath their plane. Then this wind, this force, started to pull them towards these clouds. And the father, now panicking, steered with all of his strength to get out of this vortex, or whatever it was. And after a real struggle, he was able to escape. He stated that he felt he and his son were extremely lucky to get out of this alive. Now, this case is very similar to another encounter that happened to a pilot that was flying over the Bermuda Triangle in 1970. On December 4th, a pilot, Bruce Gernon, was flying with his business partner and his dad back to Florida from the Bahamas. This flight was supposed to take about an hour and a half, but somehow it only took them 45 minutes. While they were flying, the pilot, Bruce, saw a strange looking dark cloud in the sky that was in front of him. And this cloud just looked unnatural to him. There was something just not right about it. And as he was looking, he noticed that this dark cloud was getting bigger and bigger. And now he had no choice. He had to fly through it. And everyone on board was a bit scared. And while they were flying through this cloud, they soon realized that the inside was like a tunnel, and this dark cloud was spinning. Now Bruce was trying to get out of this as fast as he could, and as he was flying as careful as possible, he and the other two passengers started to see flashes, or what they called blazes of light that just lit up everything. And Bruce believed that what they were seeing was not lightning. This was something else. And right after this phenomena started, all the instruments on his plane just died. And Bruce felt that he wasn't even flying the plane anymore. It was like it was being pulled by some unknown force. Now at this point, everyone on board was freaking out. But then they saw a small opening at the end of this dark cloud, and the plane was moving or being pulled towards this opening. And as they were getting closer, they felt as if they were weightless. And when they finally made it through this opening, they felt normal again, and all the instruments on the plane started to work again. Now once Bruce had control of his plane again, he called into one of the towers to find out his location. He had no idea where he was. He was shocked to learn they were now over Florida, which should have been impossible. They somehow flew from the Bahamas to Miami in a small plane in just about 45 minutes. It usually takes twice that time. Now, this is a famous case, and it has been discussed a lot over the years. And some wonder, could this phenomena be responsible for the disappearance of Flight 19? Flight 19 is one of the greatest aviation mysteries of the 20th century. On December 5, 1945, 5 military planes were flying from Florida to the Bahamas on a training mission. And during their flight, all 5 of them vanished. And to this day, nobody knows what happened to them. But before they vanished, they did say some very strange things. One of the pilots stated, "We can't find west. Everything is wrong. We can't be sure of any direction. Everything looks strange, even the ocean." Now, these were highly trained pilots. So what the heck happened to them? Even one of the rescue planes that went out looking for them also vanished. Now, what makes this disappearance just so strange and creepy to me is the fact that one of the pilots said that everything looks strange, even the ocean. Some paranormal researchers suspect that maybe UFOs or aliens are responsible for the disappearance of Flight 19. In the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, one of my favorite movies, they showed that these 5 planes were just discovered nice and clean in the desert, basically stating that something had just dropped them off. And at the end of the movie, these 5 pilots came out of that massive UFO along with other abductees. But I don't think Flight 19 was abducted because of what the pilots said. It sounds more like they were flying on another planet. It is believed that UFOs can open up portals. So what if Flight 19 and the one rescue plane flew through a portal? And since maybe this portal was still open, the tower was able to receive their transmissions. Now, while I was making this video, I thought I would find a few more stories of pilots in Alaska claiming to see these vortexes. But it seems these encounters are extremely rare. Maybe most of the pilots that encounter this phenomena aren't lucky enough to make it back home. But we do have a ton of eyewitnesses who have claimed to see UFOs come out of a portal. And I will cover this in a future video. We do have some pretty awesome stories. Now, before I go, last week I was watching Tubi when I saw they had the newer Missing 411 documentary called The Alien Connection. And in this documentary, David was going over a case that happened to a group of Native Americans in the 1960s. But what really blew my mind about this case is this Native American tribe called this UFO a Sasquatch ship. This tribe, who has lived in this area for thousands and thousands of years, call these UFOs Sasquatch ships. Interesting indeed. Until next time, this is Paranormal Junkie. Make sure to subscribe and stay tuned.